She opened the door by mistake. The alien maid couldn't look away. Zara fumbled with her keys, exhaustion weighing down every movement. The design presentation had run 3 hours over schedule, and her client's endless revisions had left her mentally drained. She barely registered the apartment number as she slid the key into the lock. Her neighbor had given her a spare months ago for emergencies, but in her tired state, she'd grabbed the wrong key from her collection. The door swung open silently, and Zara stepped inside, immediately noticing something different. The layout was identical to her apartment, but the furnishings were far more luxurious. Crystal chandeliers caught the evening light, casting prismatic reflections across marble floors. She froze, reality crashing down. This wasn't her home. Before she could retreat, movement caught her attention. A figure emerged from the kitchen, carrying a silver tray laden with refreshments. Time seemed to slow as their gazes locked. The woman before her possessed an otherworldly beauty that stole Zara's breath. Her skin held a deep purple luminescence, like twilight given form, smooth and radiant. Long silver hair cascaded past her shoulders, contrasting beautifully with her complexion. She wore a simple maid's uniform, yet somehow carried herself with elegance that transformed the modest attire into something graceful. Her eyes, large and expressive, colored like amethyst gemstones, widened in surprise. I'm so sorry," Zara stammered, her face flushing with embarrassment. "I live next door. Wrong apartment. I didn't mean to intrude." The purple-skinned woman set down her tray carefully, her movements fluid and precise. When she spoke, her voice carried a melodic quality, accented but clear. "It's all right. The Sterling family isn't home. I am Nixra. I work here." "Zara," she replied automatically, unable to look away. There was something magnetic about this woman, something that transcended the shock of her alien appearance. "I really should go." But Zara's feet didn't move. Nixra didn't turn away either. The moment stretched between them, charged with an unexpected electricity. The alien woman's lips curved into a tentative smile, revealing her nervousness. "You're the neighbor?" Nixra asked softly. "I've seen you sometimes, through the window, coming home late." "Guilty," Zara admitted, her own smile emerging despite the awkward circumstances. "Interior designer. The hours are terrible." "Your work must be beautiful," Nixra said, her eyes traveling briefly over Zara's paint-stained fingers and a portfolio bag slung over her shoulder. "To create spaces where people live their lives, that's meaningful." The comment touched something in Zara's chest. Most people didn't understand the emotional weight she poured into her designs. "And you? Do you enjoy working here?" A shadow passed across Nixra's expressive features before she composed herself. "It provides what I need. Stability. Purpose." The words sounded rehearsed, hollow. Zara recognized that tone, the careful response of someone hiding deeper truths. She'd used similar words herself when describing her own loneliness to concerned friends. "I should let you get back to work," Zara said reluctantly, though every instinct urged her to stay. "But maybe, if you ever need anything, or just want to talk, I'm right next door. Apartment 7B. Nixra's eyes brightened, hope flickering across her features. "I would like that very much." As Zara backed toward the door, she memorized every detail of Nixra's face. The curve of her cheekbones, the way her silver hair caught the light, the genuine warmth in her smile. This chance encounter felt significant, like the universe had deliberately pushed her through the wrong door. "Good night, Nixra," she whispered. "Good night, Zara." The door closed between them, but something had opened instead. A possibility neither woman had anticipated, sparked by a simple mistake that would change everything. 3 days passed before Zara found the courage to knock on the Sterling apartment door. She'd rehearsed a dozen excuses, returning to apologize properly, asking to borrow sugar, pretending she'd left something behind. In the end, she simply carried a small potted orchid and hoped Nixra would answer. The door opened, and Nixra's face transformed with genuine delight. "Zara, I hoped you would come back." "I brought you this," Zara said, offering the orchid. "A thank you for being so kind about my intrusion." Nixra accepted the plant with reverence, cradling it carefully. "It's beautiful. Please, come in." The Sterlings won't return until evening. The apartment felt different now, less imposing with Nixera's presence warming it. They settled in the kitchen where sunlight streamed through tall windows. Nixera prepared tea with practiced efficiency, her movements graceful and purposeful. "Tell me about your world," Zara asked, watching steam rise from her cup, "if that's not too personal." Nixera's expression softened with memory. Valdris is a moon orbiting a gas giant in the Kepler system. 3 suns illuminate our skies, painting everything in perpetual twilight colors. We value art, philosophy, and service, believing that caring for others is the highest calling. "It sounds incredible," Zara breathed. "Why come to Earth?" The light dimmed in Nixera's eyes. "Economic necessity. Valdris faced resource shortages after our primary sun's output decreased. Many of us sought work off-world to send money home. I have a younger brother, Kale, studying interstellar medicine. My wages support his education." Zara reached across the table instinctively, her hand covering Nixera's. The touch sent electricity through both of them. Nixera's skin felt smooth, slightly cooler than human temperature, but the warmth beneath was undeniable. "That's noble," Zara said quietly. "But lonely, I imagine." "Profoundly," Nixera admitted, not pulling her hand away. "The Sterlings treat me as invisible furniture. I clean their spaces, prepare their meals, and exist in their periphery. You're the first person in months who's looked at me like I'm real." "You're the most real thing I've encountered in years," Zara confessed, surprising herself with the honesty. "I'm surrounded by people daily, but I feel alone in crowds. My last relationship ended because she said I was married to my work. Maybe she was right." They talked for hours, losing track of time. Zara shared stories of difficult clients and creative triumphs. Nixera described Valdris's floating gardens and bioluminescent forests. They discovered shared loves: classical music, old literature, the quiet comfort of rainy afternoons. When Zara finally checked her phone, she gasped. "I should go. You need to prepare for the Sterlings." "Will you come back?" Nixera asked, vulnerability clear in her voice. "Tomorrow," Zara promised. "If you'll have me." The next weeks fell into a rhythm. Zara began arriving each afternoon, initially offering to help with chores. Nixera protested at first, but Zara's insistence won out. They worked side by side, conversation flowing naturally as they folded linens, organized pantries, and polished silver. One afternoon, while arranging flowers in crystal vases, their fingers brushed. Both women froze. The air between them thickened with unspoken tension. "Zara," Nixera whispered, her voice trembling, "I think about you constantly. When you're not here, I count the hours until you return. I rearrange my entire schedule around these visits," Zara admitted, her heart pounding. "I've never felt this way so quickly. It terrifies me." Nixera set down the flowers, turning to face Zara fully. "On Valdris, we believe souls recognize each other across time and space. When I first saw you in that doorway, something in me knew you. Does that sound foolish?" "No," Zara breathed, closing the distance between them. It sounded exactly right. Their faces were inches apart now. Zara could see the subtle variations in Nixera's purple complexion, deeper shades along her cheekbones, lighter tones at her temples. She was mesmerizing. "I want to kiss you," Zara confessed, "but I don't want to presume." Nixera's response was to close the final gap, pressing her lips gently against Zara's. The kiss was tentative at first, exploratory, then deeper with growing confidence. Nixera's lips were soft, tasting faintly of the mint tea they'd shared. Zara's hands found Nixera's waist, pulling her closer, while Nixera's fingers tangled in Zara's dark hair. When they finally separated, both were breathless. Nixera's purple skin had darkened slightly, a blush Zara realized with delight. "I've wanted to do that since the moment I saw you," Nixera admitted. "Then we wasted too much time talking," Zara teased, pulling her close again. They kissed until the evening shadows lengthened, wrapped in each other's arms, discovering the geography of new affection. In that crystalline moment, the universe felt perfectly aligned, two lonely souls finding unexpected home in each other's embrace. The following month transformed both their lives. Zara found herself rushing through work projects, cutting meetings short, all to maximize time with Nixera. Their afternoon encounters became the axis around which everything else revolved. They established small rituals. Zara always brought fresh flowers or pastries from a corner bakery. Nixera learned to prepare Zara's tea exactly how she preferred it, with honey and a hint of lemon. They worked together for an hour, then steal precious moments on the balcony, hidden from the street below by climbing jasmine vines. "Tell me something you've never told anyone," Zara said one afternoon, lying with her head in Nixera's lap. The alien woman's fingers traced gentle patterns through Zara's hair, sending pleasant shivers down her spine. Nixera was quiet for a moment, considering. "I write poetry, in my language, but also in English now, about Earth, about loneliness, about—" She paused, her touch growing more tender, "about unexpected love that feels like coming home." Zara sat up, turning to face her. "Will you share one with me?" "They're not very good," Nixera protested, but Zara's encouraging smile coaxed her forward. She closed her eyes, reciting softly. "In twilight skin, I walked unseen, slashed through marble halls, a ghost between, slash until wrong doors brought right to me, slash and brown eyes became my galaxy." Nixera, Zara breath, deeply moved. "That's beautiful. I'm your galaxy? You're everything," Nixera confessed, cupping Zara's face. "You've made this cold planet feel warm. Before you, I was simply existing. Now I'm alive." Their kiss was deeper this time, more urgent. Zara's hands explored the curve of Nixera's back beneath her uniform, feeling the warmth of her skin through thin fabric. Nixera responded by pulling Zara closer, their bodies pressing together with an intensity that spoke of barely restrained desire. "Come to my apartment tonight," Zara whispered against Nixera's lips. "After the sterling sleep. Stay with me." "I shouldn't," Nixera said, but her conviction wavered. "If they discover I've left." "They won't. Please. I need more than stolen afternoon moments. I need to hold you without watching clock." Nixera's resolve crumbled. "Midnight. I'll come to you." That evening stretched endlessly. Zara showered, changed clothes 3 times, arranged and rearranged her apartment. When the soft knock finally came, she nearly ran to the door. Nixera stood in the hallway wearing a simple dress instead of her uniform, her silver hair loose around her shoulders. She looked nervous and radiant simultaneously. "Hi," Zara said breathlessly. "Hi," Nixera echoed, smiling. Zara pulled her inside, closing the door on the world. They stood in the dim entryway, drinking in the sight of each other in this new context. Nixera and Zara's personal space, no time constraints, no need to pretend. "I'm nervous," Nixera admitted. "Is that silly?" "I'm terrified," Zara confessed, "because this matters so much. You matter so much." She led Nixera to the couch, where they sat close together. Soft music played from Zara's speakers, instrumental piano pieces that filled comfortable silences. "On Valdris," Nixera began hesitantly, "we have a bonding ritual. Partners share their deepest fear and greatest hope. It's believed that vulnerability creates unbreakable connection." "Then let's honor your tradition," Zara said, taking both Nixera's hands. "You first." Nixera took a shaky breath. "My deepest fear is that I'll wake up and discover you were a dream, that loneliness created a fantasy to survive. My greatest hope is that somehow impossibly, we find a way to build a real life together, despite every obstacle." Tears pricked Zara's eyes. "My deepest fear is not being brave enough to fight for this, for us, when challenges come. My greatest hope is falling asleep beside you every night, and waking to your face every morning for the rest of my life." "Zara," Nixera whispered, her voice breaking with emotion. They came together in a kiss that felt like a promise, like sealing a vow. Zara guided Nixera to her bedroom, their movements unhurried but purposeful. They undressed each other slowly, savoring each revelation. Nixera's purple skin seemed to glow softly in the dim light, beautiful and alien and perfect. Zara traced patterns across her shoulders, down her arms, memorizing every detail. Nixera responded with gentle exploration of her own, discovering the landscape of Zara's body with reverent attention. They made love tenderly, learning each other's rhythms and responses. Nixera whispered words in her native language that sounded like prayers. Zara answered with gasps and sighs, and Nixera's name repeated like incantation. They fit together as though designed for exactly this. Two puzzle pieces finally aligned. Afterward, they lay tangled together, Nixera's head on Zara's chest, listening to her heartbeat. "I love you," Zara said into the darkness. "I know it's fast, but I love you completely." "I love you, too," Nixera replied, tilting her face up for a gentle kiss. "In every language I know, in every way possible, I love you." They fell asleep wrapped in each other, neither wanting to acknowledge the complications waiting in tomorrow's light. For now, love was enough. The trouble began on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. Zara arrived at the Sterling apartment with her usual offerings, lavender scones from Nixera's favorite bakery, and a small book of poetry she'd found in an antique shop. She knocked their special rhythm, smiling in anticipation of Nixera's greeting. But when the door opened, it wasn't Nixera who stood there. Marcus Sterling loomed in the doorway, tall, blond, and wearing the entitled smirk of someone who'd never been denied anything. Zara had seen him in passing, but they'd never spoken. The family patriarch's son recently returned from a business degree abroad, already making his mark on the family's real estate empire. "Well, hello," he drawled, his eyes traveling over Zara with uncomfortable assessment. "You must be the neighbor. Nixera mentioned you've been visiting." Zara's stomach clenched with instinctive warning. "Is Nixera available?" "She's occupied with actual work," Marcus said, his tone dripping condescension. "Perhaps you should stop distracting our employee during business hours. We pay her to serve our family, not entertain visitors." Before Zara could respond, Nixera appeared behind Marcus, her face pale with anxiety. "Mr. Sterling, please." Zara was just... "Save it," Marcus interrupted, his pleasant facade cracking. "Both of you inside. Now." The command made Zara's blood boil, but Nixera's pleading eyes stopped her protest. They followed Marcus into the living room, where he positioned himself like a prosecutor before defendants. "I've been watching security footage," Marcus began, pulling out his tablet. "Fascinating viewing. Hours of cozy domesticity. Intimate conversations. And yesterday evening..." He swiped through images, pausing on a still that made Zara's heart stop. The photograph showed them on the balcony, locked in embrace, kissing with obvious passion. The angle captured everything. Nixera's hands in Zara's hair, their bodies pressed close, the unmistakable tenderness of lovers. "This is inappropriate fraternization," Marcus declared with false formality. "Nixera, your visa status depends on maintaining professional conduct. Relationships with residents in this building could be construed as..." "Don't," Zara snapped, stepping forward. "Don't you dare threaten her." Marcus's smile widened, shark-like. "I'm not threatening anyone. I'm simply observing that immigration authorities might find the situation concerning. Foreign workers pursuing relationships with citizens could suggest visa fraud, couldn't it?" "That's absurd," Zara said, though fear crept up her spine. She'd heard stories of alien workers losing their status over minor infractions, real or invented. "Perhaps," Marcus shrugged, "but investigations take time, during which Nixera would be detained, possibly deported. Her brother's medical school tuition would stop flowing, and the Valdres economy being what it is..." He let the threat hang, unfinished but clear. Nixera's face had gone even paler, her purple complexion taking on an ashen tone. Her voice emerged barely above a whisper. "What do you want?" "Simple. End this, whatever it is." Zara stops visiting. "You maintain appropriate professional distance. And perhaps..." His gaze traveled over Nixera with unmistakable hunger. "You remember who actually controls your future here." Zara felt rage ignite in her chest. "You absolute..." "I'll do it," Nixera interrupted, her voice hollow. "I'll stop seeing Zara. I'll maintain distance. Please, Mr. Sterling, don't contact immigration." "Nixera, no," Zara protested, reaching for her. Nixera stepped back, avoiding her touch. The rejection felt like a physical blow. You should leave, Zara. This was a mistake. All of it. You don't mean that, Zara said desperately. Don't I? Nixera's words came out flat, lifeless. The voice of someone shutting down Survive. You're a client who became too familiar. I confused kindness for something more. It was unprofessional of me. I apologize. Each word landed like a knife. Zara knew Nixera was lying. Could see the anguish behind her carefully blank expression. But Marcus stood there watching with triumphant satisfaction. Nixera. Please leave, Nixera repeated, turning away. I have work to complete. Marcus gestured toward the door with mock courtesy. I believe you have your answer, neighbor. Best to respect our employees' wishes. Zara wanted to argue, to fight, to refuse to abandon the woman she loved. But Nixera's rigid posture and Marcus's threatening presence created an impossible situation. She left, each step away feeling like betrayal. The next 2 weeks were agony. Zara knocked on the Sterling door, repeatedly. Marcus always answered, turning her away with increasing irritation. She left notes that went unanswered. She waited in the hallway hoping to catch Nixera alone. But the alien woman never emerged when Zara was present. At night, lying in the bed they'd shared, Zara cycled through despair, rage, and desperate planning. She couldn't accept this ending. There had to be a way to protect Nixera and expose Marcus's blackmail. The solution came from an unexpected source. While researching immigration law at midnight, half delirious with exhaustion and heartbreak, Zara discovered the Alliance for Alien Workers' Rights, an advocacy organization that specialized in protecting off-world employees from exploitation. She called their hotline at 2 a.m., pouring out the entire story to a patient counselor named Janet. By dawn, she had an appointment with their legal team. By noon, she provided the security footage timestamps, Marcus's threats, and documentation of the Sterling family's treatment of Nixera. This is textbook coercion, the lead attorney, Mr. Rodriguez, explained. The Sterling family has a history of violations. Underpayment, excessive hours, intimidation. We've been building a case. Your information provides personal testimony we've lacked. What happens to Nixera? Zara asked urgently. Will she be deported during investigation? No, Rodriguez assured her. We'll secure emergency protective status. She'll be assigned to temporary housing while the case proceeds. But Zara, she needs to agree to cooperate. Can you get a message to her? Zara smiled grimly. Leave that to me. Zara waited until Thursday evening, when she knew the Sterling family attended their weekly business dinner. She used her old key, technically still valid, and let herself into the apartment one final time. Nixera stood in the kitchen, mechanically washing dishes. She didn't turn when the door opened, but her shoulders tensed. You shouldn't be here, Nixera said tonelessly. If Mr. Sterling finds out. He won't, Zara interrupted, crossing the space between them. Nixera, please look at me. Slowly, Nixera turned. Her face was drawn, exhausted, with dark circles under her beautiful eyes. She looked like someone barely surviving. When their gazes met, Nixera's careful control shattered. Tears spilled down her purple cheeks. I'm sorry, Nixera sobbed. I'm so sorry. I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't let him destroy everything my brother is working for. Couldn't risk deportation, couldn't. Zara pulled her close, holding tight while Nixera trembled in her arms. Sure, love. I know. I understand. But I've found a way out. She explained everything. The advocacy organization, the legal case, the protective status. Nixera listened with growing hope and terror warring across her features. But if I testify against the Sterlings, I'll never work in the city again, Nixera protested. Wealthy families protect each other. I'll be blacklisted. You don't need to work for families like this, Zara said firmly. I've been saving for years, living conservatively. My design business is thriving. We can figure this out together. If you want to stay with me, if you choose us, I'll make sure you're safe. Zara, I can't ask you to upend your life. You're not asking. I'm offering. Because I love you. Because a world where I don't wake up beside you isn't a world I want to inhabit. Zara cupped Nixera's face gently. But this has to be your choice. I can't make it for you. Nixra was quiet for a long moment, processing. Outside, the city lights glittered like distant stars. Finally, she spoke, her voice gaining strength. On Valdris, we have a saying, courage is choosing love when fear feels safer. I've been afraid so long, I forgot what bravery feels like. And now, Zara asked, barely breathing, now I choose you. Nixra said firmly, I choose us. I choose to fight. Their kiss tasted of salt tears and sweet relief. When they separated, Nixra's eyes blazed with renewed determination. Tell me what to do, she said. The legal proceedings moved swiftly. Rodriguez's team had been preparing their case for months. Nixra's testimony provided the personal dimension needed to file formal charges. The Sterling family's lawyers attempted intimidation, but the alliance stood firm. Marcus's threats crumbled under legal scrutiny. Security footage he'd used for blackmail became evidence of the family's surveillance overreach. Financial records revealed years of wage theft from multiple alien employees. Within 6 weeks, the Sterlings faced substantial fines, loss of their labor certifications, and criminal charges. Nixra received permanent work authorization and a settlement covering years of unpaid wages. More importantly, the case prompted new protections for alien workers across the city. 3 months after that confrontation in the Sterling apartment, Zara stood on her balcony. Their balcony now, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades that reminded her of Nixra's skin, arms wrapped around her waist from behind. Nixra rested her chin on Zara's shoulder, both women swaying gently to music drifting from inside. Happy, Nixra murmured. Ridiculously so, Zara confirmed, turning in embrace to face her. You? Nixra's smile was radiant, no longer shadowed by fear or uncertainty. I received a message from Kale today. He graduates next spring. He wants to visit Earth, meet the woman who changed his sister's life. I can't wait to meet him, Zara said warmly. Will you be nervous, introducing me to your family? Terrified, Nixra admitted, then laughed. But the good kind of terrified. That my whole life is changing for the better kind. Zara pulled her close, pressing their foreheads together. I walked through the wrong door and found everything I didn't know I was searching for. Wrong door, right person, Nixra agreed. The universe has a strange sense of humor. Or impeccable timing, Zara countered, claiming Nixra's lips in a kiss that tasted like promise and possibility. Inside their apartment, the one they now officially shared, Zara's design sketches lay scattered on the dining table. Nixra had enrolled in creative writing courses at the local university, pursuing the poetry she'd hidden for so long. They were building a life together, piece by piece, choice by choice. The orchid Zara had given Nixra that first visit bloomed in the window, resilient and thriving in its new home. Much like them, it had found the right environment to flourish. One nurtured by love, patience, and the courage to choose happiness over fear. As twilight deepened, painting their world in shades of purple and gold, Zara held Nixra close and felt the absolute rightness of this moment. They had fought for this peace, earned this joy, and would protect it fiercely. I love you, Zara whispered against Nixra's silver hair. I love you, too, Nixra replied, her voice rich with contentment. In every language, across every world, for all time. And in that embrace on a balcony overlooking a city of millions, two souls who had found each other against impossible odds knew with certainty that they were exactly where they belonged, home in each other's arms, ready to face whatever future the universe had waiting. The end.